So excited for this show because I've got my friend who I've been wanting to have on for a while, Mr. Jim Fuse from Fusion Marketing, with us today. This is going to be a fun show. We're talking about Amazon Live. In fact, that reminds me, I needed to go hit the go live button on Amazon. It's a little clunky, and we're going to talk about that today. So love to know where all you guys are. And by the way, we wanted to give a shout out to one of the show sponsors, which is the amazing Agora Pulse. We're going live to some of their channels, but they are the way that we're able to, after the show's over, make sure we don't miss any comments. We use it for social listening, repurposing our content, and scheduling it out. It's amazing. So if you wanted to find out more about that, go to socialmedianewslive.com/Agora Pulse. Grace, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited to be here today. It is rainy, so everyone cross your fingers.
Batten down the hatches because it's another wet show.
Batten down the hatches that we keep power. So
right, exactly. All right, so I'm going to go live on the podcast machine, and we'll get the show started. You all ready?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, here we go. Let me get everything ready, and I'll hit go, and we'll get started. Welcome to Social Media News Live. I'm Jeff C., and you're not.
I'm Grace Duffy, and this show is a show that keeps you up to date on what's happening in the world of social media. And today's show is brought to you by Restream. Everything you need to create a professional live show and podcast right in your browser. You can learn more about that at socialmedianewslive.com/Restream. Find out how you can do a cool show like we're doing right now.
That's right. And by the way, today we are joined by the amazing, awesome Jim Fuse, and we're going to be talking all about how to stream on Amazon. You're going to find out what you need to know to get started with Amazon Live, where to apply to become an Amazon Live creator, and how Amazon Live can expand your audience and grow your revenue. So we're going to jump into that in just a second. But I wanted to also do a shout out to another one of our sponsors who we could not do the show without them. It is the amazing Ecamm. That's how we're doing all these cool lower thirds and cameras and graphics. So if you'd like to find out more about them, go to socialmedianewslive.com/Ecamm. That's socialmedianewslive.com/ECAMM. So with that out of the way, I want to make sure that we talk about my friend Jim. If you don't know who Jim is, you really should. He's president and COO of Fusion Marketing, a full-service social media management company. And Jim is a retired Marine lieutenant colonel turned digital marketing consultant. He's a speaker, live streamer with over 30 years of business and social media experience. He teaches people how to go live each week on his podcast, Launch Your Live, and he's co-host of 2 live shows. You can catch him going live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn every Wednesday on the Tim and Jim Show, and you can watch him on Amazon Live and Twitch on Dealcasters Live. Jim, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me, Jeff and Grace. This is very exciting. I was like, I don't know who you're talking about, this guy everyone should know, but definitely appreciate it. But yeah, these are exciting times to be a creator for sure.
Yeah, so I wanted to bring up some of our comments really quickly. We have Denise saying hi. I want to say hi right back to her. We have Katie going saying hi, guys and gal. I know she's usually it's pretty balanced. We bring on a lot of female guests, but it's kind of overweight today, but it's fine. But Katie says, is Amazon Live in the UK yet? Jim, do you know the answer to that question?
It is not in the UK yet, but you can become an Amazon influencer in the UK. There's actually the UK, India, and Canada have the influencer program. They just can't go live yet, but we can talk a little bit more about that.
Cool. But I also wanted you got your fans here as well. We got Rob saying, hey, Jim. So he's giving you a shout out. And Kia says, yes, I'm using Ecamm to stream on Amazon Live. So very excited today. So Jim, when we were going through your bio, and it's very cool that you were in the Marines, and on your website you talk about marketing the Marine Corps way. So tell us what marketing the Marine Corps way means.
Yeah, so in the military, and of course, being a Marine, retiree, once a Marine, always a Marine, we do things in very systematic ways. So we have what we call this 5-paragraph order called, the acronym is SMEAC, SMEAC. And what that means is, where it somewhat equates to like SMART goals when you're working with a business is, first of all, what's the situation? What is the problem, the challenge that we're going to take? The mission, the M is like, what do you want to accomplish with your business? So that when I'm working with businesses, like, what is it, what is the plan, where we want to get to? Then we get into the execution. How are we going to get there? What's the roadmap? How long is this going to take? Then we get into the admin and the logistics. As example, what are the resources that we have that we need to get? And how are we going to, in a sense, like resupply that? As an example, for admin logistics would be, are we going to use Agora Pulse to manage the social platforms, or are we going to use Restream if we're going to help you start a live stream show, things of that nature? And then the command and control is, who are the key points, who are the decision makers in order to move forward? And so the other thing is, Marines, military folks in general, we're very decisive. It's like, we sometimes we like to say, lead, follower, get out of the way. So that may turn some people off, but some people are going to like that because, right, we want to be decisive. We want to move things forward. And part of the reason why I got out of working, with the government, not saying the military, is the whole bureaucracy thing, right? We want to be lean, mean, and move forward, because those that wait, usually end up in trouble later because they failed to make a decision.
That is really cool. I love that. So what are you gonna say, Grace? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
I was going to ask him. My next question was, how did you get started in social media marketing as a Marine Corps officer? Because you did say you had like 30 years experience, and I was like, whoa, that means you were serving. And so tell us, like, what was that path from going to being an active officer, actively serving as an officer, to running an agency?
Yeah, so I when I retired, which has been going on, gosh, hard to believe, 12 years. I had been in logistics, finance. I was actually a double major in business, got a master's degree while I was on active duty in acquisition and contracting. And so when I started getting into government consulting, and I would run into these people, and I've also been a nerd for a long time, so I was always kind of into tech anyway. But I would run into these people that's like, oh, I do social media for businesses. And so I started doing, the analytics. It's like, wait, these people are getting paid to do post for people. And I would look at what they were doing, and I was like, wow, they're really not doing a whole lot, and they're getting paid for this. I said, I need to dig into this because I think I can do better. And I'm sure you guys have seen that as well. So I was in a couple networking groups. And so I switched from government contract consulting to social media because I had some folks in my networking group that basically said, yeah, I'd be willing to hire you. I trust you. And so that's how I started. And then that just became what I did full time. And then it's about collaborating with, web designers, graphic designers, because I think that's where a lot of people make that mistake of thinking, I got to do it all myself. I mean, when I first started out, right, I was building my own websites, but, and Jeff, maybe he builds his own. But at some point, some of that stuff, you're like, it's like a necessary evil.
Right.
But it's like, this isn't the stuff I really like doing. And I think when you do stuff you love and you like, like live streaming, then it doesn't even seem like a job.
Yeah, I did the website stuff for a long time, and I have a great appreciation for the people who do it now, because I'm glad I don't have to do it anymore. I kind of think like I'm like you. I really enjoy the live streaming, but I don't really want to build websites anymore. So yeah,
right.
No, absolutely not. So let's get into the topic of the day, which is getting started with Amazon Live. Now, we typically center this show around some big major news story. We are a news show after all, but this week we decided to talk about something that's kind of been buzzy, at least over the last 6 to 8 months. We see a lot of different news outlets have talked about live shopping, particularly Amazon Live. We've got stories from the New York Times, Forbes. Our friend Stephanie Liu actually wrote a couple of articles for Entrepreneur on the topic of specifically Amazon Live. So, but still, it's one of those things that not a lot of people actually know about, at least not here in the US. We keep seeing this question, like, is live streaming the next big thing in retail? And the answer is yes, absolutely. We already see that it's a big deal overseas in Asia and in China, where one statistic I saw was that 2/3 of shoppers say that they've already bought something through like a live video, live streaming, live shopping experience. So this phenomenon is definitely something that over at least last year, as retailers have had to move online, as things have had to shut down, or as people were um, having to stay home, be distant, or whatever. So a lot of business owners ended up switching a lot of that in-person brick and mortar selling to online, and I think we definitely see that on Amazon, not surprising, world's biggest retailer. So the big question we get a lot whenever we talk about that, this show itself is going to Amazon Live, and people are always like, well, how do you do that? So Jim, tell us, how do you get started with the Amazon Live streaming platform? How do you sign up to broadcast? Is it just the most awesome people in the world, or can anyone do this?
I guess to be fair to some people, I wouldn't say that you have to be like the best, because there's definitely, Jeff, I'm sure you've seen it. There's quite a variety of broadcast on Amazon, but here's the biggest thing. So first of all, to start out, it's a somewhat simple process. Step one, you have to become an Amazon associate, which is what used to be called the Amazon affiliate program.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you have, I think, a website, you can do that. Now you can go quickly from being an associate to an influencer, but here's where somebody's like, oh, anybody can do it. I will say this: you don't have to be a live streamer to become an Amazon influencer. But what they're going to do is they're going to look at you get to choose. They're going to look at one of 4 social profiles. They're going to look at Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, or your Facebook business page. Now with YouTube and Twitter, you're going to get an instant decision. And with the other 2, it could be up to 5 business days. They don't tell you what those numbers need to be. I can tell you what I've seen, though, is that I think with Instagrammers, if you probably got over 1,000 followers, you could make that application. With Twitter, it seems like it's been about maybe a 5,000 or so threshold. YouTube, if you've monetized, which is, or I don't even say monetized, but have at least 1,000 subscribers. And then Facebook, I'm not really sure, but I did help a lady that I'm actually helping produce her show, who's actually watching, Denise. She was doing art for kids on her Facebook page. She has like 28,000 Facebook followers. And so we used her Facebook business page. And so now she's doing live streaming art classes on Amazon and able to put the products in the carousel while going live. So I think it's really a cool thing. But once you get approved, and here's the other thing: if you get disapproved, don't give up. Try again. Right. We know some people that have applied a second time, and maybe sometimes they're looking for that. Are you serious about it? But then I think the other piece of it is that you just got to then be ready. Like, are you going to go live? Because if you do get approved as an influencer, and like I said, you can also do this in the UK and Canada and India, but in India, you have to have a bank account in India. So I don't think too many of us will do that. You actually get an Amazon shop where you're now able to upload shoppable photos. You're able to upload videos. And once you get to like 10 videos that are approved by Amazon, and these could be like product reviews, those will start to show up on product pages in Amazon. And so people click on those, then you're going to drive revenue to yourself for doing that. So you have to have an iPhone. It's kind of like a Clubhouse thing right now, or an iPad, because it is an iOS app at this point. So that would be the other catch to getting to that next step, to actually be able to go live. But no requirement to be like a live streamer. Like I think even sometimes, right, with LinkedIn, you're like, why aren't these people getting approved for LinkedIn Live, even though they go live all the time? And that's where I think you see some of that issue with the Amazon creators, is that like all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, I can go live and I don't know what I should use. And so, yeah, you can use Ecamm, OBS, StreamYard, or you can just go live off your phone, though I'm not really sure why you would do that. But then again, that's probably because like the three of us, we're used to like making things more of a production, and it's like I want more than just my phone.
Right.
Yeah.
So we, of course, I knew this would happen. We have a lot of questions and comments, so I wanted to pull these up. My pal Ian, all of us are friends with this guy. Ian goes, Mom, I want to be an influencer when I grow up. So yeah, Ian, maybe if you're lucky. No, I'm just kidding. He is an influencer, but
is.
and so and Ian goes also. He goes, it can't be as bad as trying to apply for LinkedIn Live, because I know a lot of people struggled with that. I mean, Jim and I were talking about that back at Social Media Marketing World, a couple years ago, trying to get on it and all of that. Some other things, and I don't know about this, but Ian also says we're looking into Transferwise, now called Transferwise, now called Wise. If you want to have UK, US, or European bank account, might help. I don't know. Have you heard of anybody trying that kind of end run to get approved, Jim, using something like a bank account like that?
I have not, but I do know, because in Ian's case, being in the UK, I know Howard Vale, who's also in the UK, and even Marco Novo, who's in Portugal. You can apply, even if you're not in the US, to be an influencer through the Amazon.com site, broadcast, but you're going to be broadcasting to the US. That's the thing you've got to be aware of. But nothing preventing you, Ian, from applying on Amazon.com and become an Amazon influencer through the US platform, because I think eventually they're going to open it up to these other countries. And I think we don't know the numbers. There's a Facebook group started by Monty Weaver, Melody Johnson, and Chris P. Giles, the Amazon, I think it's Amazon Live creators that recommend people go and check out. We think there's maybe 1,000, there might be more than 1,000 influencers, but I think there's less than 1,000 people going live on the platform. And that's what's crazy when you consider that Amazon is the largest product search engine in the US. Like it gets more searches for products than Google.
Wow.
And so that's where I think, it's like, it's kind of like, right, we all wish we had been on YouTube when it first started.
Right.
Well, now here's your opportunity with a new platform. And so I think, there's a lot of I'm surprised there's not more YouTubers doing that. But I think if you're a successful YouTuber, right, it's kind of like, it's that whole breaking the cycle and the pattern of what you're used to doing. Like, well, I'm making money on YouTube. It's like, well, you could do the same thing on Amazon and I guess double dip, right?
Right. So can you tell me again, once the lady you were helping on Amazon, what was her name again that she started doing?
Oh yeah, Denise Carbonell, who's in the.
Oh yeah,
she's in the chat. Yeah.
So if you guys
she's actually out of Cleveland.
Yeah, I'd love for you guys to check out her shop, because I think it's great to see how, not like we're over there live right now, but seeing like, okay, maybe you are an artist and this gives you an idea. So make sure you go check out Denise's shop at amazon.com/shop/artist at heart paint party. Artist at Heart Paint Party. So go check that out, because I think that, one, give her some love because she's watching this show, but also go check it out and kind of learn from what she's doing and how Jim's teaching her. The other thing I wanted to bring up is, this is from Trammell. He goes, I definitely want to know more about applying to Amazon Live. And so that's the next question I was going to ask you, Jim. So tell us about your experience applying to broadcast on Amazon Live. Where do you apply to become an Amazon Live creator? You mentioned how long it took, but did you find it easy for yourself and for your clients? And have you had anybody have like a really long wait time?
No, it's really quick. I think the biggest thing is you have to really take a look at your social followings. And it's like, look, if you don't have enough people, it's one of those, hey, you could try, but until you build up whatever platform you want to focus on, that's going to be the challenge. But it's literally, I think you can even just do a Google search for like, Amazon associates or Amazon influencers. And then Ross Brand actually created a great YouTube video that walks you through the process. I mean, it literally, I was already an Amazon associate, had been for a while. It took me 10 minutes to get approved. I mean, it's really that simple. It's a matter of making sure you're registered, with Amazon. You can use that same associate email account that you're using to be the account you apply with for the influencer program. And then basically you're going to have two accounts. You're going to have your regular associates account and then the influencer account, which ties into when you live stream. So I think it's simple, and that's why I said I shout out to Ross Brand. Of course, Chris Stone, my co-host, and I always talk about like, yeah, we need to go ahead and make that video to show people the process, because it really is an easy process to to get approved, disapproved, so to speak. I could always provide a link for that
Cool.
after the show.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll make sure we drop that down in there. So, Grace, you had another question as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So most of the reading I've been doing on Amazon Live, very obviously connects it with the QVC home shopping network format, where Amazon sellers and influencers come in and promote a product and drive sales through the live videos. Basically, here's a product, let me demo it for you. And by the way, you can buy it right now down below in this carousel of ads. But when I was checking out Amazon Live more in depth for this segment, I saw a lot of fitness videos, cooking classes, parenting videos. Your friend Denise likes things like her art studio, which definitely can have a product tie-in. But there were also a lot of talking heads type interview shows, like for instance this show. We're going live on Amazon, and we've done pretty well with it, even though we tend to post like our guest books or the audio equipment that we're using. But do you have to have a physical product to go live on Amazon and be successful for it? Like if I were a business consultant, or if I was running an agency like you, and I really want to just talk about my knowledge and my services, how can I include Amazon Live in my marketing strategy?
Yeah, so Chris Stone and I on Dealcasters Live, part of what we do is that we like to talk about live streaming and podcasting and helping people get started with that. So we'll be talking about strategies, or we bring guests on. We're excited. Jeff's going to be joining us on Tuesday on Dealcasters Live, and we talk about that stuff. And so you don't have to make it about the cute. And there are people that do that. Nothing wrong with that. But if that's not your natural style, right? If you are more of that interview person, you can kind of mix it up. So we've had shows where we have the stuff in the carousel and you can highlight it, as you're talking about it, or just even, like if a book author comes on, maybe they're talking about books that have influenced them. You're not like saying, oh, go down on the carousel and check out the book. The people that are on Amazon realize that's going on. I know you have another question later about, how the levels. So I'll kind of talk about what happens there when we get to that. But we just looked at it. Chris and I already do live shows. So it's like, we weren't going to change our style just to be, because I'm not, I don't like to think that I'm like a hawker, like, hey, buy this now, buy this. You need to get this microphone stand right now. Right. Now we will do shows where we'll do demonstrations where we'll take a product and we'll show people kind of the good stuff. That's the other thing, right? You can't talk bad about other products. So you got to be careful about that. You've got, but it gives you that opportunity, like, especially if you're a product reviewer, going back to these YouTubers, why wouldn't you review that same product on Amazon? Because people are like on that product page and all of a sudden that video pops up like, oh, I can actually ask somebody who knows something about this live and get an answer. And that's not something you always get, like say with a YouTube video, because it's recorded and you're not, these people are ready to buy, right? They're in the mall.
Right.
And that's the thing that I think is what makes it really magical.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, kind of the process, because we've got a lot of people asking questions and we're going to get to those at the end of this segment. But I wanted to kind of go through the process of setting up an Amazon Live. So because we mentioned this app and it's a little wonky compared to like what we're used to doing on live streams. It's what we had to do back in the Periscope days, where you would, for us, we would start it on our desktop, and then you'd have to do this RTMP code, and then you'd have to go live on Periscope, and it's kind of the same thing on Amazon Live. So can you walk us through because we talked about how to get into the influencer program, all that kind of stuff, and now we're setting up a show. Can you kind of walk us through, Jim, how that happens?
Yeah. So you've got this Amazon creator app, and so you log in as your influencer. Are other things on there, right? Like you can be a brand and some other things, but you log in. You're going to have this account. Now you can actually go you can go live to Amazon, or you can do what's called a test mode, and it'll actually broadcast to Amazon, but you're the only one seeing it, or if anyone you share the link with. What I recommend, even though you could go live through the phone, is they call it external camera, and it gives you an RTMP code. Now that what's nice about that is whether you're using something like, Restream or whatever product, when you build that destination, that code is always the same for you. So it's not like every time
Right.
you go live, you got to get a new code. That I think is actually a nice thing. So then, but you have to have a thumbnail, right? Which is the normal thumbnails like you see on most of these live streaming platforms. You've got to add at least one product to the carousel. You have to have a show title. And then you have two options. You can just, when you're ready to go live, or you can actually pick a time and a date, which the advantage there is as Amazon is improving the ability of people to find the live streams, like when they're on the web, on the Amazon.com site, they have these different categories. So then that will show up on your, as an example now, right? If you're following us, or like I know I follow you guys, I'll see there's a column called like creators you follow, and I can see the last show that was done, and they have like upcoming live streams. So that's one of the advantages of scheduling. They'll also say, upcoming live streams. So you want to set that up in the app. The app is where everything is driven from. And then, of course, when you go live, you hit the go live button first on your streaming software. That RTMP code then goes to the app. This little, button will then light up go live. You hit go live, does a 3-second countdown, and then boom, you're on Amazon. But as you know, Jeff, there is a little bit of a latency. So there's like a little bit of a delay between what you're seeing and then what is showing up on Amazon. So, but you've got, we usually put at least, we've gotten to the point now, kind of learn as you go. We put at least 20, 30 products in every time. Not always the same products, because what'll happen is over time as you move up, it's really the biggest thing to say about going live on Amazon is get those first 90 minutes done, get out of being a rising star into the insider program. So like with Denise, we did that on her first show, right? We did one show over an hour and a half. She got approved for insider, and the number of views she, is getting now went from, she got like, I think about 100 on the first show. And then on the last show, she had like 1,600 views of her art class just by going from one level to the other, because on that insider level, you're actually going to get your video will start to show up live on the product pages of most products, not all, like, Apple and some of the big brands. Your video is playing like live stream related to this product. And so if they click on it, as Chris and I like to joke, now you're getting the milk and cookies. That person is now potentially for 24 hours, anything they buy on Amazon, you're going to get affiliate revenue. So that's really the big deal of getting out of that first phase into the next phase, which is the insider. And so, it doesn't take long to do at all. But yeah, so that's kind of the way, you got to do it in the app. Now you can do it on your iPad as well. So I've got, as an example, because you're having to change products during your show through the app if you want to highlight them in the carousel. Exactly. So I've put it now on an iPad because I was, my wife scolded me because she said, "You always look like you're looking down." It's like, well, I was managing the,
That's right.
the app. And
it's hard to do. It's so many buttons to push. So I wanted to make sure everybody heard what you said, that when somebody clicks on it, you have that 24-hour attribution window of anything else that they buy. So for example, I'm just coasting on Amazon. I'm not doing a show like you and Chris are doing Dealcasters, which is a great show, by the way. I'm putting this one here, and I have my podcast listed and my microphone and stuff like that. And if I have guests on, I have their books. Like we had Mark Schaefer, I had all of his books. The other day we had Holly Homer, I had all of her things that she was selling on there. So it's a way to also help guests, you bring on the show. But I've sold I've sold over, I think it's $8,000 worth of product over there from just the lowest thing to do is stream it over there, and people enjoy it and are commenting. I see people right now. The opportunity here is amazing. And then I think if they add it to your cart, it's like, is it a week that they?
No, it's actually, I think it's 90 days if it's in the cart.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
so you're like, please put me in your cart. At least think about it.
Yeah. Just throw everything like you see here on your cart right now. Yeah, exactly.
Or sometimes we'll tell people like, look, if you can't decide between microphones, order both of them. You can always return the one you don't like. And
That's
so
genius. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
kind of funny as well. But yeah, you hit on something that I think too people don't realize, and Chris and I have been doing that because with Dealcasters, we even created a podcast with it. You can put podcast in the carousel because not all podcasts, but I think a lot of them are now on Amazon Music. So there's a great way
Mhm.
to drive people to follow your podcast. They can listen to it through Amazon Music. And I think we forget it how big the Amazon ecosystem is. And I always say, it's probably not a sleeping giant, but I think sometimes when it comes to people thinking of social media, they don't think about Amazon.
Right.
But with everything they do with voice and everything else and the things that they're continuing to work on, um, it just makes a lot of sense to get yourself out there if this is something that makes sense for, or even if you're an agency, right, that you're, manage a brand. It's like, hey, we need to get this brand on there because they've got an opportunity to get their product in front of, people that are ready to buy it. Like Chris Stone, my co-host, we've done a couple talks, and he kind of equates it to, when you're driving down the road and you see a billboard or you see like a flyer on a telephone pole for pizza, you're not like, you may not do anything then because that wasn't what you were thinking about. But, when you're on Amazon, it's like you're in the mall or you're at Costco
Right.
and I'm the
Right.
guy, well, like, hey, would you like to try this hot dog? And
That's
so
right.
when you try that hot dog, anything you bought at Costco that day, I'm getting credit for. And because, this shopper is ready to buy. And I know people talk about Facebook Live shopping,
Hmm.
but this is how I equate it. And thinking of not only our own behavior, but human behavior in general. I don't go to Facebook to shop. So it
Yeah.
would be very hard, I think, for me to say, oh, I'm going to go on Facebook and go to this person's live stream and do Facebook Live shopping. No, when I'm on Amazon, I'm shopping. And we've seen on our show where it's almost like, well, I say, we've got some fans now, and whenever we go live, they're showing up, and there's people, because I watch other people's shows. There are definitely now people that are starting to see that, oh, this is kind of fun. I get to talk to these people while they're having their show, and we're able to respond to them, whether it's verbally or even in the chat that's only live during the episode. And so you're getting that engagement, right? And then ideally they're going to start telling their friends like, hey, you should check this out. So that's where I think if you can make your show more of a show and not so much about a QVC HSN type of thing, I really think there's a lot of opportunities for creative people.
I totally agree. And I want to go back to a couple of things that I learned when I set up my Amazon Live. In fact, the first one I did not work. And I did the preview. Did the preview thing in Amazon. The problem is Amazon will only accept, is it 480 or is it 720?
720. Now I've heard
and
that some people can do 1080, but you have to be able to like downgrade your bit rate. Like it's, but
so,
I just go at 720. I don't mess with it.
Yeah. So what I do, because we're using Restream, I want to have the highest quality going to YouTube and Facebook or whatever. And so I had to dumb down my podcast. So I use Restream, and I use they have a re-encoding feature that I use, and I'm able to go in there and dumb down just my custom RTMP that is going out to Amazon Live. And that's what got it to work, because I didn't want to dumb down all my streams, just the one for Amazon. Dumb down's a bad term. I guess degrade or, change the resolution. So I had to do that. And the problem was when I tested it with the Amazon, preview feature, I did it high quality and it said it worked. So just know that even if it says it works, that sometimes it doesn't. So especially if you're encoding too high, that's what I found out with that. So I think that's one of the big tips I would say when you're going live. But Jim, do you have what tips or advice do you have for someone just getting started with Amazon Live? I mean, particularly when it comes to setting up your stream and the products that you're showcasing. Is there a limit to the number of products you can promote? Do you have a strategy? Do you change those up each time for your shows, or what kind of things would you tell people who are just getting started?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is you don't want to always be doing the same exact products. Now, mind you, as an example, We've actually, here's another thing you can do on Amazon. You can apply for what's called Merch by Amazon, which is their own print on demand service. So like Chris and I have created some, Dealcasters Live t-shirts, and those pay anywhere from, I think it's a 10 to 30% commission, depending on the actual, price of the product that you create. But you can put those in your carousel. So if you want to brand yourself up a little bit, you can do that, right? We add our podcast, but then what we look at too is, are there deals going on that day that we're broadcasting? So you can go in and look at, what are the daily deals. I mean, that's going to become really big. The rumor is July, possibly June, Prime Day. That's going to be huge if you're an Amazon live streamer. We were able to participate in that last year, and we were shocked at the number of views that we would get on some of those streams on that. And of course, I think like we've decided we're not going to sleep that day. We're just going to be on Amazon for 24 hours.
There you go.
Because you're starting to see like, wow, this is really, people are out there. They're going to shop regardless. So why not, maybe drive them to your cookie. But yeah, so we look at that, like what is, we try to highlight the things that we definitely plan to talk about, but you also don't have to worry if you don't talk about it, right? I mean, so that's why when we first started, right, because they used to say, you want to get at least 10 products in there, but I would recommend try to get 20, 30. You can have as much as 40. You can also add stuff on the fly. So sometimes what'll happen is like we might be having a conversation and say, as an example, I'm using a Samson QTU microphone and I didn't have the carousel. And someone's like, hey, what's that microphone you're using? I'd like to learn more about it. It's like, oh, let me go find it. I can add it real time into the app. And now it's showing up in the carousel. So then that person that's asking the question can go straight to it. So that's one of the nice things about having, Chris and I as a team is sometimes like we can be doing like we are now, right? A solo mode talking about something. The other one of us is like doing a little research for that viewer, because that's part of why we do our Amazon Live is like we like to help people. And so this is a way for us to help these people in real time, and so like maybe someone's like, hey, I'm looking for a monitor, I'm looking for headphones, because we're really focused on the tech space, right? Like I'm not necessarily going to talk about, if you want to call it like home goods, but I do use a Vitamix. Vitamix is give you a nice percentage. We'll talk about, what's funny is Chris uses a Garmin watch, and we talk about the Garmin every once in a while. Garmin's had some great sales lately, as an example. Well, here's the nice thing you get. Now, it's not 100% accurate, but Amazon gives you, as a creator, all your sales in a spreadsheet. So that's when you start finding out, like, as an example, we've never talked about the Roku. We've talked about the Amazon Fire Stick because that's something we both like. But we've sold over 60 Roku sticks on Amazon, because I think what happens is people are looking at the Fire Stick and there's always like, oh, so, here's other products similar. But because they clicked on it, we have that cookie. We're getting credit for that Roku stick, as an example. So, you really can get creative. I mean, even like you're talking about your books, what's that stuff that you use all the time, right? And if it's on sale, put it in there.
I've sold iPads and like the people buy my Rodecaster, which I'm going to click right now so people can buy that if they would like to on Amazon. But so, I mean, it's really, and by the way, I think the team base that you were saying does make it a lot easier, because half the time when Grace is full screen, I'm like eating a sandwich or, watching Netflix or something. But most of it, I mean, but the thing that it really does help with having two people. Real quick, I wanted to talk about, you mentioned when we're talking about all about, setting up Amazon Live. And I think people could potentially, at least it was for me, when you first get started, that first tier, I can't remember what it's called again.
The Rising Star.
Rising Star. I got nothing. I mean, I got maybe a couple views. I didn't sell a thing. But when I went to that next tier, when I hit that tier of how many hours you have streamed, that's when the magic happened. It was like a faucet was turned on, all because I think it goes into those product pages. That's when I started making sales, when I started seeing people following me and all that kind of stuff as well. So I think that's important too. So if you're starting on Amazon, don't get discouraged with that first tier, because for me, nothing happened at all. It's just getting your feet wet, going out there and going live.
Well, and they're telling you, right? They're looking at a couple things. One, they're looking at your thumbnail, right? They want to see a decent thumbnail. They're also looking at your presentation, supposedly. Like they're looking like, are you, you know, giving value to the people watching the show? You know, that's why, like, if you're talking about the products or working that into that, they're looking at that as well. You know, do you have a good stream quality? And here's the other thing, right? Amazon wants you to go live at that first level specifically at least 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But as you move up, like I think even as a, to get to A-list, which, they keep moving the goalpost a little bit. Right now,
They do.
You have to have 2,000 followers on Amazon, right? So follow this show, follow Dealcasters. We need more followers. Because that's how you're even to be considered for A-list, which that's when you can maybe show up on Amazon.com and
Yeah.
you get your own little person at Amazon that you get to talk to. But the insider level is still a great place to be because, like I said, I don't even know if, like I said, if there's 1,000 people live stream, because if you were to go look, you're kind of always seeing the same people going live. So it's not like there's all these other people showing up yet anyway. Yeah, I think that's the big thing is get to insider. Don't get frustrated that, because we had that same thing, right? We had two shows. We had our first show, we had our show with Jennifer Watson. It's like, wow, we're really not getting a lot of views. But then we were able to apply for insider and it was like, like night and day.
Right.
And,
it really was.
Yeah. So it makes a huge difference.
So I've heard this rumor, and you can verify if this is true or not, but I have heard that the more often you stream, the more often you're going on Amazon Live, the more places you show up on Amazon.com. I've seen this too as, I'm shopping for products and then you go down and you see the recommended products. Occasionally, like, I'll see a little video and it'll be one of those Amazon Live videos of people talking. I don't even know if it's related to what I'm looking at or if it's just randomly there. But I was wondering, is this true that you will show up in more places on Amazon.com the more often you stream live?
I'm not sure if you'll show up on more places, but that's where the number of products in the carousel, that's where the more products you have, you will start to show up on those pages. And even sometimes you'll show up on related product pages. So as an example, sometimes we'll do like a test where we'll pick a specific product. We'll see that we're live on that page, and then maybe other items related to that, it could be competitive products even. So that's where that gets into a little bit of the strategy. But to your point, Grace, right? You're like, they may not be talking about that exact product you were looking at, but I think it's also Amazon's trying to drive people into the live space, as viewers, because then that gives, because that does some other things that, when we start talking about monetization, it's more than just the fact that you're getting paid by Amazon for affiliate revenue. There's a whole nother space that as a creator you may not be thinking about, and that is brands and other companies wanting to work with you, because guess what? You're in front of literally at times. I mean, yesterday, Chris and I went live. We interviewed Phil Hill, who's a home security expert, has his own Amazon show as well. And we were talking about how Amazon can protect your, Alexa can protect your house. We had 3,500 people watch that episode.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And so if I'm a brand and I know that this is a good show and I know these people are getting in front of a couple thousand or more people every time they go live, why wouldn't I want to now talk to these folks about, becoming a brand partner, right? Like, because they'll, if you send me the gear, then I can actually review the gear. And then the other thing is, for a brand to go live on Amazon, they actually have to pay if they wanted to do it on their own. So that's the other thing, right? As an influencer, don't sit there and it's like, oh, I'm going to do this for free because they're going to give me a piece of gear. Because that's the nice thing about this Facebook group. We're all collaborating and working together. It's kind of like podcasters, right? It's a tight-knit family. We're all supporting each other. I was like, look, don't give yourself away. Don't just like, oh yeah, just send me that Shure SM7B and we'll be good.
Yeah.
Because you're giving them something that they can't necessarily get on their own, and they don't necessarily have, quote unquote, the talent to do that. And you've got a couple of folks that have gotten really creative because, like even what you have now is you have your own channel on Amazon.
Right.
You could have
Wow.
other shows on here, right? You could have other talent that would be going just live on Amazon at different parts of the day or whatever. There's one called Top Rated, one called Sway TV. They have people that they basically have going live just about almost every hour of the day, different people talking about different things. Could be related, fitness could be related to specific product.
Mhm.
Well, they're getting paid by brands like, hey, we want you to have someone come on and talk about, our products or our suite of products. And so you could it's literally like, going back to your QVC HSN model, Grace,
Hmm.
Yeah.
you can basically have your own channel where that's all you're doing. And
Yeah.
so it's, really gives you a
Elgato, if
lot
you're
of
listening,
opportunity.
hey, I use the Stream
Yeah.
Deck and the lights, buddy. Come on.
I could-
That's right. I've
I
got
could
I've
use
got
this-
one right
I-
here.
I could use one. I'm feeling left out, Elgato.
Yes.
I will promote it for you.
So-
So, Jim, tell me, the length, as far as going live, you're talking about going live for 90 minutes. I know that's I could probably sit here and talk for 90 minutes by myself, but not everyone, is equipped for that. So tell me what the ideal length of a stream is. Do longer ongoing streams, I'm thinking like Twitch, do better than a shorter structured format, about 30 minutes? Or do you recommend like an hour long, 45-minute type format? What really hits on Amazon?
We try to go live at least an hour. And the reason I say that is you got to remember there's a couple of challenges that we don't necessarily have the insights to, right? This has always been, if you want to call it, the live streamer's dilemma. Okay, but this has got a little twist on it. When is the right time to go live? All right. Well, part of it is Amazon.com is a US website. So you've got to think of when do people shop, not when do I want to go live. Because you're trying to find when people shop the most. So some of it, right? Guess what's coming up soon in a few weeks, right? Mother's Day. So when are children and dads and sons going to be looking to shop? Okay, the West
That
Coast is
morning.
3 hours behind, right? Some people, but you're right. Some people shop in the morning. So maybe you do a show in the morning. I know Ryan Swanstrom, he does a show, Wake Up with Ryan, right? He's going live 2 or 3 times a day on Amazon, and he's talking about like remote work technology and things like that. And I think he said last month he had $150,000 in revenue, shipped revenue on Amazon by going live that often.
So is that why you went with Dealcasters After Dark? Now that sounds like a bad Cinemax thing, but it seems like you guys are really doing really well. And I saw that, I think you went live yesterday, did another Dealcasters After Dark, which I thought was a genius thing. Is that the reason why you kind of went to that format?
Yes, because we started to say, you know what, at least once a week, because there's 2 things. Chris and I, we have guests, Jeff, next week we'll have you, and Monday we're going to be interviewing Lois Kramer, who's a famous not only author but helps speakers that want to get paid. She helps them with that strategy. So those are going to be more interview formats. But we also wanted to have one where we have fun. It's like, let's see what happens when we go live later. So ideally, it's going to be 7:30 or later, because guess what? The West Coast, right? It's 5, 6 o'clock, and those people maybe are now home. Maybe they're playing around on Amazon, want to shop, and we've been very happy with the numbers, right? We're getting a few thousand people watching those episodes, and it is right. It's different. It's a little looser, little less structured, and then sometimes we've also started to do a Friday afternoon thing called Friday Finds, where we're specifically looking for deals. And that's where it's just me and Chris, as opposed to so it's not always a guest. We love having our guest. But, as an example, when it comes to Prime Day or Black Friday or some of these other shopping days, we may say, you know what, it's just going to be the 2 of us. We're not going to bring on a guest unless we want to break something up. But, you think about these Amazon book authors, right? What a better way to launch a book than to be live on Amazon. Yeah. And, I mean, even if someone's watching them on Facebook, it's just not the same.
Right.
I think that's really one of the big keys to it. But yeah, we are always we even used to do a thing, and we'll probably go back to it during football season, we had like, before the games, we'd do like a Monday night pregame, and we'd even talk about like, we'd joke a little bit, like we'd, pick who we thought was going to win the game. We'd, bring in some of the gear for the two teams because they sell the gear on Amazon. So, really it's the sky's the limit. You kind of figure out what works. I think the thing you got to be careful about is, and what you are doing, Jeff, is I think a great move. I know Christoph Trapp does the same thing. Is right. You're already doing a show, a podcast. Why not stream it to Amazon?
And we do
right?
bring
Why
in.
not?
Yeah, and I want to talk about how to engage some people. And I wanted to bring, this is from Marco, and I wanted to do this. He goes, it's amazing how many views we get. Yeah. And it's almost like back in the Wild West days of Facebook Live when you would get views just by going live. And it feels kind of that same way over on over there right now when you go live on your page. But you still want to have products and kind of like, it is a podcast. The stuff I sell makes sense for this. But I wanted to ask you this question because Amazon's Live's landing page, it promotes it as a way to engage with shoppers in real time and drive sales with interactive live streams. So let's talk about this interactive piece. So what type of audience interaction can you expect on Amazon Live, and then how do you engage with that audience?
Yeah. So what we've had to do, because you got to get a little creative. One of the things that occurs that you realize viewers may don't realize is that they're muted when they first come onto Amazon, so they can't hear a word you're saying. So we've got like a transparent overlay where we'll throw it up there and it'll say unmute, follow, we'll run a ticker like unmute for great advice on live streaming and podcasting, because then if they can hear you. And if they'll put comments, right, we'll talk to the comments like it would be, we'll see like when you follow us, Jeff, or if we see you're on there because you've commented, we're like, hey, Jeff, great to see you tonight. What do you got going on? And we can also type into the chat. So sometimes, right, maybe you type something into the chat to, create some engagement. Like you ask a question like, hey, what are you guys, looking for tonight? Or, what, that sort of thing. So but that engagement is only during that episode, because the other thing is Amazon wants you to repurpose the shows after the fact. They're fine with you, sharing stuff on other social platforms. They give you a link to your upcoming broadcast that you could put out on your various social media, send out to your email list so people come watch it. But I think the challenge is that people don't realize that this is a thing.
Right.
I can't tell you. I may be like, Amazon, what? I didn't know you could go live on Amazon.
Exactly. So can you respond to the comments after the streams, or does it have to be happening when you're live?
It's got to be during the live. That's the one. I mean, I guess that's because that maybe the way they've got the technology set up, it just kind of shuts down. And that's why sometimes, we do multi-stream just like you guys do. But we still want people to come over to Amazon ultimately, because it doesn't necessarily do any good. Yeah, they're not going to be able to buy the stuff on Facebook.
So I want to pull this up real quick because this is, so like I'm going live on my iPad and you can barely see it here, but and we do have a comment over there, and Howard goes, all great stuff. How do brands decide what they want to work with, and how do they know the number of views, for example? So if you could answer that, Jim, because you talked about working with brands, but I can't wait till I can actually bring comments on screen, because it's really hard to do all this stuff by itself. But so if you're wanting to work with a brand, like Howard asked, how would you do that?
So there's a couple things that happen. One, you're going to have brands reach out to you, and we've had a couple where we're in a I will say we're beyond negotiations. It's more of finalizing the deals, but you could reach out to them. I think there's still a lot of brands that don't realize that Amazon Live is a thing, right? I mean, it's funny. You would think Amazon would go out if they were selling. It's like, hey, by the way, we've got this program. It is funny. I don't know if you guys have been seeing it in your Facebook feed. I'm starting to see this like Amazon, influencer ads. So I guess they're advertising for people to join. So you want to jump in now. But yeah, approach some of these brands. But here's kind of the way Chris and I look at this. I mean, we're getting emails from companies in China that I've never heard of. They'd like to give us the thing for free. And it's like, I'm not going to talk about something I don't believe in.
Right.
And I think that's where you have to be careful as because you're being called an influencer, right? I sometimes don't know what I think of that, but I guess, right. Just it comes with the territory. But, make sure it's something you believe in, because if you're out there telling people like, "Oh, you should buy this microphone stand that comes with a Samson Q2U," and you don't believe in it, and somebody starts to get it, they're gonna say, "Hey, don't listen to these guys. They give bad advice." So I think, that's part of it. Make sure it's a product that you like or would like to learn more about. But, yeah, and I know Howard just recently became an insider. Howard, they will start to approach you. You'll start to get emails from companies you had no idea existed. I don't know somehow
Very
how they
true.
get your email, but it's like,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
we'd like to,
Right.
we love your show. We'd like to talk. And that's the other thing, right? We had to think as live streamers, right?
Right.
People are always watching. They're not always commenting. They're not always
The dark
engaging.
web.
But someday they're like, I've been watching your show for the last 6 months and I'm now
Right.
ready to talk to you. And you're like, whoa.
So as we start wrapping up, we've gone so much in depth of the show. I mean, we could talk probably for another hour. We're gonna have to have Jim on to do a part 2, but we've talked a lot about going in multiple places and broadcasting with the software. You may have heard us mention a couple times. We are using Ecamm. You've seen me switch the screens. We have done. You have the lower thirds that come up. I can pull up Jim's title and all sorts of things. I'm doing that with this amazing software for a Mac called Ecamm, and you can find out more about that at socialmedianewslive.com/Ecamm. Support them because they help us with the show, and we'd love for you guys to go over there to socialmedianewslive.com/Ecamm.
Yes, and we also have been talking a lot about Restream.
Yes.
So as you know, we are streaming this over to Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Amazon Live. And Restream actually offers the transcoding service that will allow you to go over to Amazon Live, and we'll even show you how to do that. We've got 24/7 live human support. So definitely there's always going to be someone around that'll be able to help you get there if you are interested in doing that. You can learn more about it over at Social Media News Live /Restream. Again, that's Social Media News Live /Restream, and find out how you can also multi-stream on your live shows and also distribute your show as a podcast pretty seamlessly, in fact.
And Amazon Live, which we've been talking about. So we've only got a few questions left, and we wanted to kind of like answer this question, Jim, like why I think everybody knows by now why you should do it. But like, if people are still like, I don't know how can I talk for an hour? What do you tell people, like, because you got me on this Amazon Live train. So what do you tell people when they say, now, why should I do it? I mean, I don't get that many followers on Facebook, and it's just, do I really need to? What do you tell those people?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, if you're a live streamer and you're looking to monetize your live stream, that's one reason to get on Amazon Live. If you're already talking about products, if you're already interviewing authors, you're just giving yourself another audience that one's interested in the stuff you're talking about and that is willing to make a purchase. And I don't have to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 view hours to monetize. I'm going to monetize almost instantly. Like you said, Jeff, once you get out of that, and I will say, you got to get out of the rising star thing to that next level, you will start to make money off of your live streams on Amazon. And then the brand deals that are possible that, because, Tim Sohn and I have been going live for almost 3 years on the Tim and Jim show. And I don't think we've had, any brands saying, hey, we'd like to, us to talk about our microphone on Facebook, because they're not looking for that. I think that's a very few and far between. And this is the opportunity to get in early, right? You're 5 years from now, if you were one of the first people and you stuck with this, I think there are huge opportunities that are going to arise for you out of getting in early.
I think that is awesome. Jim, you are a wealth of information. I'm so glad that we were able to connect to get you on the show. You've helped me out so much with all of this. So tell us, first of all, where we can find you on Amazon Live and where else we can find you on the interwebs and where you'd like us to go.
Yeah, so for the show itself, the easiest way to find it is go to dealcasters.live, and that will take you a redirect right to our most recent episode. You can follow us there. You can also we have a tap link, which is like, I call it Linktree on steroids, taplink.cc/Dealcasters. You'll see all the places you can connect with us on Dealcasters, because one of the things that came out of this is we found that we had to create some social platforms for Dealcasters, because it was like, wow, we we want to get people back to the show, and it doesn't always work if you go to like my Fusion Marketing stuff, but we call it the flywheel of content, right? It's getting people back to Amazon.
That's awesome.
And yeah, so that's another place. And then you can. I'm active on LinkedIn, Jim Fuse, and also Twitter, Fusion Marketing, which is what got me approved on Amazon was my Twitter account. So,
and I'll bring up this from your pal Chris Stone, who's watching over on LinkedIn, dealcasters.live. Make sure you guys go check that out. Chris is amazing too. We're gonna have to have him on as well because he is amazing personality over there on Dealcasters. And as well, I want to pull up this TapLink. This is the thing you just said. taplink.cc/Dealcasters. Thanks, Chris, for putting those in the comments. Grace, thank you once again for helping me with the show. Where can people find out all about you and all that you do? That is all Grace Duffy.
You can find me over at Restream, where I am the virtual events manager, and I'm pretty active on LinkedIn and Facebook, so definitely find me there. And speaking of Facebook, Jim, you're talking about that Facebook group where people are interested in going on Amazon Live. What was the name of that group, and how can people find it?
Yeah, I want to say it's Amazon Live Creators, and maybe Chris could drop that into the chat as well. It's a public group. If you're thinking about becoming a creator, definitely come on over. You don't have to be actually on Amazon Live yet. And we've actually, that's another place where some of these brands have started to have their people join, and they're like, they're checking us out. So it's really exciting.
Very cool. So, by the way, folks, if you'd like to connect with us, make sure you go to this. This is the text number. This is the thing I'm testing to see if we can get around the old algorithms where people can't see it when we go live. So text me at 903-287-9088. You can get show details when we go live. I always push those out. But also, if you'd like to get into my inbox, ask me a question, ask me like, hey, how can I get the amazing Jim Fuse on my show? Well, you can text me and I'd connect you super easy. So 903-287-9088. And by the way, our next show will be Friday, April 23rd at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central Time. Our guest is the incredible Rachel Miller. And as always, you can find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Amazon Live. And we'd love to connect with you. Thank you so much, Jim, for being here. Thank you for the audience for all your great questions. We'll try to jump back in there and get to some of those as well. Thank you guys so much for all your comments and sharing and everything you guys do.
Thank you, guys.
Everyone,
Grace,
have a good day.
Yeah, this is amazing. Thank you.
Yeah. See you guys
later.
Bye,
everyone.
Bye. Okay, we're clear from the podcast recording, but we're still live. Thank you, guys. There were some comments I wanted to pull up just as we are wrapping things up because we had so many questions. This show flew by, Jim. You were amazing.
So I want everyone to know we sent Jim about like 20 questions, and Jeff and I were like behind the scenes, like cut this one, skip this one. We got to go. This one is what people. So there is definitely a wealth of information that Jim has to offer. So definitely go find him over at Dealcasters. He and Chris, Dealcasters.live. I cannot emphasize him enough. And I actually saw Jim and Chris speak over at what was it? Podfest Global.
Podfest. Yeah.
Yep. There's Podfest, and you did a great segment over there, session over there. And that's, I got to ask all my questions there. So if you want to know more about Amazon Live, then he's your man.
And if you have any questions, folks, as like how I can use, I know Alan was in here. He says he was using Restream and he loves it. And so, if you have any questions, make sure just ping me about Restream and how Ecamm works with Restream. And we'd love for you guys to go check both of those companies out because they do really help the show. But you guys were amazing today. So many good questions. Like Terry actually says, I could see a lot of great applications for this particular using Restream. We could bring in people from other destinations. The combination of using Amazon Live with Restream can be amazing. Yes, Terry, it can be. So, like I said, we are just scratching the surface. Thank you guys for all of, I'm getting comments over there. Howard goes, he was embarrassed when he calls himself an influencer. Yeah, I don't like saying that either. That or guru. Those are two ones we don't like to use around here. No. But Jim, thank you so much, man. You are incredible, and just all the knowledge that you dropped today. And we'll make sure to check out Dealcasters as well. So thanks, everybody, for watching. See you next time.
Bye, everyone.